What's happening, Municipals? This is Ashton, doing a little segment before we actually get to the podcast today. Today we're talking, we're talking Pine Valley. Yeah, you heard that right. He'll tell you all about it, but my dad, got I have to imagine once in a lifetime opportunity to not only play Pine Valley, but stay on property, play it multiple times. And yes, even though this is a public golf podcast, when your golf hero and golf idol and father gets to play the best golf course in the world, you need to talk about it because the whole premise of this podcast when Chris and I started it was, hey, these are the conversations we have anyway. We might as well record them, right? And this is a classic example of I'm currently in Atlanta. It's Mother's Day when we actually recorded this. But Dad and I found some time to go into the basement of his house, make ourselves a gin and tonic, and actually talk about what is such a special trip for him, and honestly, just special for me to watch him talk about this experience. Which, unfortunately, we don't have video of this one, but we sat down in his bar in his house and had this conversation. So certainly hope you enjoy it. And hey, look, here's the tie-in. If when my dad was at Pine Valley, he could have been repping Union Green. He could have been wearing the gear. He could have been playing the golf balls. Was he? I don't know. Who's to say? But I will tell you that if you would like to rep Union Green, we encourage you to use promo code Municipals20 for 20% off your first order. Plus, don't miss out on the Union Green T-Bird golf ball special where you buy three, get one free, and you can kind of bundle all that together for the buy three, get one free, as well as our promo code to bring that golf ball down to, I think it's like $11 a dozen, which is just crazy. Also, just want to shout them out. Recently at the cookout, we gave out some Union Green merch. People are rocking it, content to come, and just really want to shout them out. But for probably the only time ever in the history of this podcast, let's take it to Bryson, and then let's talk about Pine Valley. Let's go, let's go.
How hard did you push it? Till I black out? Yes. Numerous times, yes.
Okay, so you went to Pine Valley, right?
I did. I feel like I'm Donald Trump giving a deposition. Yes, I did.
Okay, tell me about it. That's
well, I got invited on a Sunday night, and the trip started Tuesday morning at 9:00. And without going through all the details, it was a charity trip that was bought for a foundation for suicide awareness. One of my best friend's sons had passed, and there's a golf tournament every year, and one of the many friends of my friend had given this trip, and apparently two different consortiums of people had tried to buy it, and they were willing to pay a lot of money for it. And the
consortium just means like group of people.
That's right. There was a silent auction, and people were realizing that a lot of people were bidding, and they pooled their money to try to outbid the other team. But as it turns out, two different groups of people bid a lot of money, and the member, who I will happily say his name, is a terrific guy, is Brian Ferris. He just said, I'll just give two foursomes. Bring 8 guys instead of 4.
So, and more money for charity.
Twice as much money for charity. And one of my best friends was part of the consortium. And Sunday night at 7:00, he said,
I remember the text you sent me.
You have to know this guy. He said, I need you to do me a huge favor. And he's the kind of guy that never asks for anything. And he said, I need you to fly private Tuesday morning. You're gonna go play Pine Valley on day 1. You're gonna spend the night, play 36 holes day 2, spend the night at Pine Valley, eat at Pine Valley, sleep at Pine Valley, and then play the 3rd day, and then fly home. Can you go? And
he phrased it as a favor. A favor to him.
Right. If you have friends like this, you're a blessed man. And yes, that is exactly how he phrased it. But it was a bit of a weird situation because he was trying to fill a spot on a trip of a lifetime, with a person who was not going to mess up the trip of a lifetime for other people. And I just happened to know
It's a wild card.
it is, and I knew 5 out of the 8 guys already, and I was a safe bet to not mess up the trip for the people that had paid for it.
Yeah. And you've always, like, not to fluff you, but you've always sort of had that ability from what you told me as a kid.
Well, being able to read the room and
Yeah.
being a good golf partner is just something that you've learned how to do. And if you don't get invited on a lot of golf trips.
Yeah.
But if you're a guy that gets if you're listening to this podcast and you get invited to a lot of golf trips, you're on the right track. And if you can't figure out why you're not getting invited, I can give you a quick lesson. It's all about self-awareness and playing fast and don't be a dick. Anyway.
Well, real quick, I mean, the whole funny thing is, you and I, before this podcast is not about the cookout, but I remember I told you that you guys were you and Johnny, the podcast way back when, and I think Johnny's quote was, "If you're coming to me complaining about your hamburger, you're going to get booted. Like you're not coming. Like if you're coming with the ticky tack things to the host, you're probably never going to get that invite again."
That's right, and I would tell you that the second day we all thought we were playing 36 holes, and we played 18, and we had time to play 36. It would have been a bit of a rush lunch. It would have been a bit of a push, but I mean, you're at Pine Valley, right? And the prevailing wisdom in the group was that we should play the par 3, which we did, instead of going and playing another 18 on the big course, which is hard and beats you up. And that's what we did. And a good person to have on the trip is one who's going to say, let's play the par 3. And they're not going to push back on, we're at Pine Valley and we should play 36 holes because we're here. You just go with the flow. And that's what we did.
It's almost like don't have an opinion. Just
No, you're welcome to have an opinion. You just have to handle yourself like a grown man. And the wisdom on the trip said, let's go play the par 3. And we were going to have, gamble and play, birdies and carryovers and close-ups. And, you can lose a bunch of money in the gambling fest, but that's what the group wanted to do. So I didn't really have a strong opinion. But
yeah.
I didn't play 36 holes day 2. We played on the par 3, which was an absolute blast. And if you've never been to Pine Valley, their par 3 course is not a traditional par 3 course where every shot's between 70 and 115 yards to a round, basic green. They replicate the second shots of the most famous holes on the big course.
So cool. Are the greens to scale, or are they kind of shrunken down a little bit, I would imagine?
They're not to scale, but they are not shrunken down. These are legitimate big greens. Like number 2 is one of the most famous holes out there. If you look it up, you tee off into a big flat area with bunkers on right and left, and then there's a big bank that's completely covered with bunkers, and all you can see is the top of the flag.
Wow.
And
how far do you have in?
From the tee, we played one tee up, but we hit a driver and a 9-iron, driver and 8-iron.
Okay, so it's not like a wet. I mean, that's actually a pretty intimidating shot, even with an 8-iron.
But it's a big green, and you're more likely to hit a weird 8-iron and 3-putt than you are to miss the green.
Dump in the bunker.
Right.
Yeah.
But anyway, one of the par 3 holes replicates. It has the whole bank build up to replicate this huge bank of bunkers in front of number 2, which is one of the most intimidating things. You ought to just Google it. So anyway, that's an amazing, shot to hit into a par 3 hole. So anyway, so they invite me and we fly out. We get up there. We have.
Wait, real quick. Let me pause real quick. What was your familiarity with knowledge of, like what did Pine Valley mean to you going into this trip?
I look at the Golf Digest Top 100 when I read one every 4 years, and it's
number 1.
My entire life, it's been the number 1 golf course in the United States of America.
So you knew nothing other than just it was.
I knew it was in New Jersey, and I knew that it wasn't, on
just east of Philly, right?
Right, 8. We flew into Philly, and then they picked us up in a van, and you're there in 20 minutes. Probably 30 minutes.
Yeah.
But I knew I wasn't going to the East Coast or the West Coast. I was just going to go north into some place into the Pine Barrens in New Jersey, and I looked on the internet and saw that when you see the amusement park, you know you're close.
Yeah.
So beyond that, I knew it was famous. I knew it was difficult. I knew there was a lot of bunkers, and that was about it.
Yeah. And real quick, because I'm just curious, Pine Barren, is that like what are the Pine Barrens? I'm unfamiliar with
I don't know. I know that land is not an issue at Pine Valley. There is not an out of bounds stake within a mile. There are a few houses on the golf course that I think people actually still live there, but what I understand it to be is that once the owners of the houses die, they're going to become cottages for right. And so there are, like, if you stand on one tee, and I guess it's number 6 green, and you look back there before you hit 7 tee, there's just this gorgeous house sitting back there, sort of tucked away. It's obviously been there forever. It's beautifully maintained, and it's just a normal, great house right in the middle of the golf course.
Does it take away anything, or is it weird because it's there?
No. It's like the Seven Dwarfs cottage. It's just there, and it's like, of course it's there. It makes perfectly good sense that it's there. There's no other access to a highway, a road. You're just in the middle of bunkers, sand, and pine trees.
Cool.
Yeah.
So you were going in basically as a blank canvas.
Blank canvas.
What everyone knows. It's amazing.
Right.
That's about it.
That's it.
Okay.
That's it. And they've not hosted a bunch of stuff. So, there's not...
What do they have? They host a couple amateur stuff.
They have all amateur stuff. There's never been a professional event there. My guess is they just don't want there to be a professional event there. And
with technology, it's probably I don't know how well it would do with the modern game.
I think it would do very, very well. They've definitely added some tees to some holes, but we were there right as the greens. We were in there in April, and the greens were coming in. I think they're Poana, and
which Poana on the East Coast is still tripping me up.
Well, they were a little slower than I expected, and a little bumpy on the first day. And by the third day, they were a whole different caliber of green than they were. My guess is if you go right now, you can embarrass yourself much more easily than we could.
Yeah.
But if they get the green speeds up, the place can hold its own. It doesn't make any difference who's hitting it.
Yeah.
There's only 2 par 5s. One of them is 630 yards
from the
up
tees
the hill.
You guys played?
Then up the hill. Yeah.
Holy shit.
I was so thrilled. I hit 8-iron in there.
What, driver 3 with 8-iron?
Yeah. felt great about it.
Holy shit.
2-putter from 50 feet and felt like I'd made it 2.
Oh my, yeah. It's a 5 that feels like a 2. Yeah.
Right. And the other par 5 is the one that I think you hit it across Hell's Half Acre, where you hit it and you just pray it's in the fairway, because if you don't, then you have a half acre of sand that you have to lay up. Because if you hit it into this waste area, you might have a shot from 178, but you might just hit it under a clump of grass that's in this. It's not manicured bunker. It's just, there's no rakes.
Waste area.
Everything's a bunker, but there's no rakes.
Oh, cool. So it's a true hazard. That's the idea.
And greenside too, when you hit it in the greenside bunker, you make a footprint, you sort of rake it with your foot and keep moving. There's not a rake on the place.
Wow. Did you like that? I mean, I'm curious what your perception of that.
Never did I say, I'm in a footprint and this doesn't seem fair. There's so much sand, there's so many places to hit it that...
Also, it seems like from Pine Valley's reputation, they don't exactly care about your perception of fair, right?
Right. And definitely, you can end up in an unfair spot, but, by the time the wind blows and it rains again, 3 days later, whatever you did is no longer there. And so it just takes care of itself.
I think my buddy Patty, his dad is like a elite senior player, amateur player, and he plays there every year. I think Patty, this podcast was a year ago, but I think he told us that the Super told them. I think they rake the greens every 3 to 4, or they rake the bunkers every 3 to 4 days.
Let me be clear. There are definitely bunkers that people most often hit in that are raked in the morning.
Yeah.
Right. So if there's a greenside bunker where people are likely to hit it, you can see that they've been in there with the machine that day and they've
Yeah.
gone around the edges. And
But after you go in there, you're not going to rake. You're just going to kind of.
That's right.
That's cool.
That's right. But like number 7, the par 5 I'm talking about, the way to get from the tee to the green is to walk through the sand.
It's like number 9 at Sweetens. Remember that par 3?
Exactly.
You walk through the bunker to get to the green.
Right. And so if you hit, my point was, if you hit your tee ball into the rough and you can't carry it, 195 to get it over, it's a much better play to just play it up to the front and then try to hit a shot and make par the old-fashioned way, because you don't know what you're going to get.
Yeah. So to take us back to the beginning, so when you arrive, the one thing that I know from Tom Coyne's book is that Pine Valley's famous for, I believe it's the turtle soup. Did you get to experience that when you arrived?
We arrived.
You arrived at lunchtime, right?
We arrived and I had a half a chicken salad sandwich and turtle soup.
And you said you didn't order; they just put that down in front of you, right?
I think they said we have a couple choices, and I didn't even mention soup, and soup showed up. So,
and is that, I'm sorry, is that actually like turtles, like with?
Yeah, I think it is. I think it is, but it's not weird.
Did they get no? But did they give you the context of like, there's got to be a historical precedent for that? Why?
I was about to tee off, and I had bigger stuff to worry about than what the turtle soup recipe was. I was a little intimidated.
Yeah. And you were in a coat and tie? Yeah.
No. Coat and tie for dinner.
Okay.
The same place where you have lunch is where you have dinner. So there's not like a fancy dining room.
There's a dining room.
There's a dining room, and it's a long rectangle, and it probably holds 100 people. Men. I didn't see a woman in the dining room. And they're in tables that are pretty close together. And they're served by men. There was a female server or two, but it's a men. You just feel the male presence everywhere.
I mean, I think they allowed female members 2-3 years ago.
That's right. I think there's a handful. Annika Stornsdam's one, but
very recent.
There were men working in the golf shop. There were men serving us dinner, and there were men playing golf. I did see a woman playing golf, but clearly she was a stick, because the tees we were playing from, I saw number 5. My bedroom overlooked number 5 tee, which is 225 yards up the hill, bunkers left, bunkers right, and I was going to my room to change shoes, and she hit probably a 4-wood to about 15 feet. So she was at least as long as I was, and probably a lot better. But so it's not like there's a anti-woman thing. It's just there's not a lot of women there.
Yeah. So you get there and you have chicken salad sandwich and turtle soup.
Go to the first.
And then it was kind of like,
Go to the first.
Is there a range?
Is there a range?
I can't tell which way it's going to go. I'm sure the answer is probably yes.
I'm a member at the Atlanta Athletic Club, where we have, in my opinion, one of the finest driving ranges, practice facilities anywhere I've ever been. The expanse of this place is at least twice that of the athletic club.
What? Oh, you didn't tell me this. Wow.
Yeah. It's just unbelievable. There's Pro V1s. Now, they've probably been hit before, but you're warming up with Pro V1s. And I went to this station to hit. There's not anybody else out there. It was me and the 3 guys in my group I'm playing with. There's not a divot in the station where I'm about to hit. Nobody's hit balls there yet. And it's 1 o'clock.
Sheesh.
But to get to the range, they shuttle you. It's got to be half a mile to the driving range. So this place is extremely expansive.
Huh.
The golf course is not.
But
the tees and greens are right next to each other. You walk without any problem. Literally, you can underhand toss your ball.
It's walking only, right?
I think if you have a medical emergency, if you're having a heart attack, you can have a cart. But beyond that, everybody walked. Everybody hit caddies, double bags. But literally, you can underhand toss your golf ball from the green to the next tee for every single hole. No extra walking.
That's how it should
be. And the golf shop is part of the same building that is the bar, that is part of the same building that is the dining room.
Which is so funny for such an expansive facility to have everything
all right on top. And there's a circle where they have a few cars parked, and there's a few golf carts, and everybody congregates at the same spot. And the first tee is right there, and 18 green is right there.
Yeah.
And there's a big flagpole behind 18 green that you aim at on from the fairway on 18, and it just sits there 120 feet in the air with this giant American flag, and it's all right there. And so they clean it up for breakfast, and you have lunch there. They clean it up, you have dinner there, and you do it again the next day. Breakfast, you go show up. There's a man making you an omelet if you want one, but there's whatever you need. No frills, but hot breakfast if you want it, cereal if you want it. What time's your tea time? Oh, there's a sheet. The tea sheet is put out like throughout the building. So if you have any questions about what time you play, we had back-to-back tea times at 9:08 and 9:20. It said my host's name. And so the whole tea sheet was right there for everybody to see. No electronics.
Like, do you have your phone in your room or?
No, I had it with me, but you don't and you can use it, but you just can't. Telephone calls are.
Yeah.
You can't do that. You can text. You can take pictures. They're happy to. There's no problem with that, but no phone calls. There's designated spots, and I don't know where they are because I didn't find one.
Probably your room too. But.
Yeah. Just not.
Yeah.
Please don't have your business call while we're having lunch.
Yeah, which is, that's one of those places. The world would be probably better if we all did that in general.
That's right.
Like, just picking up the phone all the time.
That's right.
And I imagine from what you've described, it sounds like Captain Obvious, but it sounds like a place where it's all about it's the golf, right? It's just it's a club that's very centered around the golf.
Right. That's right.
Everything you've described is
it's all about.
It's not like, whoa, the pool was awesome, and
I didn't see a pool.
Yeah, I didn't imagine there would be.
But we played dice. We played cards. That was not only it wasn't either encouraged or frowned upon. It's just what we did.
Yeah.
It's just a bunch of guys playing golf is pretty much what it is.
Love it. Well, tell me more about the course. Like, there are certain holes that I don't know Pine Valley well off the top of my head. I think the one hole that stands out to me is number 8, one with the 2 greens that looks incredible in the pictures.
Number 8 is probably the best, one of my top 5 golf holes I've ever played. Because,
really? It's that? Okay, cool.
Okay, first of all, the halfway house is not at 9. The halfway house, the house of Jose. Shout out to you, Jose. Jose's been there 7 years, and you go in this little hut with a tin roof, and it says House of Jose on the name plaque. And I said, Jose, how long have you been here? He said, 7 years. And I said, well, I can tell you take pride in what you do. He said, I definitely do. And I said, you had to wait a minute to get your name up there on the wall. He said, I was here 5 days, and that showed up.
Wow.
And he's been there ever since. He's probably 35 years old, and whatever you need, if you need a liquor drink or a beer to settle your nerves, Jose's got you. Now it's you see it first on number 8 tee. So when you hit that tee shot on number 8, the halfway house is right there, Jose. Then you come back, and it's you hit your tee shot on 12. It runs parallel, so it's the same hut services you after number 7 and in the middle of number 12.
Yeah,
it's amazing. It's terrific.
Any notable, are they famous for do they have a drink? I know
we all drink transfusions, which is sort of what everybody does. Yeah. But there's also a wall of golf balls. Every single college you've ever imagined is in there. It's all a glass display. And apparently there's a thing between, I think there's a lot of members from USC and a lot of members from Notre Dame. Huh. And Jose said there's something about, depending on who wins every year, the other golf ball, he takes the other golf ball out. Huh. I don't know. But there's a whole wall of golf balls, and there's a super cool dude. And the other thing is when you you come off 4 green, you're right there at number 1 tee. So when you come off 4 green, you're at the pro shop. So if you need something, You can get beer.
I've lost 6 golf balls.
Beer, booze, golf balls, or the bathroom
Yeah.
at number 4, but you can also do
So you
it.
basically have 1, 4.
Every
8.
4 holes, there's something
Yeah.
for you. It's great.
And I got for Big Chris, I got asked like any food at the halfway house, like a mean hot dog or anything.
I don't know. We didn't eat anything. No offense, Chris, but we didn't eat. We drank a little bit, but we didn't drink that much. We drank more in our.
I wouldn't want to be on the course at Pine Valley feeling a little liquored up. Does not sound fun.
I don't know. It's sort of a beta blocker. It's not terrible. But number 8, your question was number 8. You hit this tee shot right past Jose's house, and it looks like you need to stay up to the left, but there's a football field out to the right. All you do is hit 3 wood, and then you got 100 yards. But there's 2 greens.
And do they rotate by day? Like what?
We never played the right green. We played the left green only.
Huh.
And it's the size of a par 3 green. It is an undersized green that has 3 tiers. A front, a middle, and a top. And you either knock it on the green or you're dead. And even if you knock it on the green, if you're on the wrong tier, which is the difference of 5 steps,
Yeah.
you're just going to hang on and hope just to make par. First time I played it, I had a 3 wood right down the middle. I had a 100-yard gap wedge and hit it on the wrong tier, putted it up there to 2 feet and moved on. The second time I played it, I cheated too far left, and you can't play the hole. You got to play it out to the right, and then
Yeah.
But the hole draws you to the left. And as soon as you hit it to the left, when there's all this room to the right, you're dead.
Yeah.
Dead.
But so I was right in the sense of, like you said, it's one of your favorite golf balls you ever played. Was it your favorite hole on the course?
I don't know.
I know it's hard to ask favorite.
No. I think when you play a golf course with 2 par 5s, only one of which you even have a chance to make a birdie on. And the one you have a chance to make a birdie on has a bunker that's a half an acre big. And if you don't hit it in the fairway, you're going to make a 6. I mean, there's just no chances to score.
And where, like, I don't actually know this. That half acre bunker, where is that in relation to? Is that short of the green? Is that off the tee? Where does that come into play?
Pretty straightforward tee shot, but just don't miss the fairway because there's overhanging pine trees and the rough gets weird. And if you can't make good contact and hit it 190 yards, you can't get it over the half acre.
Yeah.
But it's a straightforward tee shot. And if you're not thinking about it, you hit a good first day. I'm not thinking about anything. I aim at the pine tree, hit 3 wood to 68 yards, hit it to 12 feet. Never thought anything about the hole. Second time, missed the fairway. Tried to muscle it across the bunker and picked it up after hitting it 5 times and went to the next tee and tried to find Jose. Because Jose's hut's right there. So if you have trouble on half acre, you just go see Jose. And I should have just played it to the right and tried to make a 6.
Yeah.
Instead, I'm going to do something creative and I put it in my pocket and tried something else.
Yeah.
Couldn't finish.
Yeah. What are some other themes? I mean, again, other things that I know is, like, I think Pine Valley has the highest rating of any course in the world. Like, is it as hard as its reputation precedes?
If you play it now,
What you're saying with the greens are faster.
yeah, that's right. The green speeds would dictate everything. And if the green speeds are up, yes, because if you hit a bad shot, if you hit the wrong shot at the wrong time, you can't play the hole.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to play away from the hole and then try to chip it, and you're probably going to 3-putt for double over and over and over. Good players, a little aggressive or, a little too long, and you got to chip it to a place where you can't chip it from. And the green's going to embarrass you. So you play away from the hole and try to 2-putt, and then you get a little shaky and you 3-putt a couple in a row, and you realize, I just made 3 doubles in 4 holes. And I haven't really hit that many bad shots. Hit the fairway every time and still made 3 doubles in 4 holes.
Yeah.
It's just very demanding, but very fair. If you hit it in the fairway and you knock it on the green, you're going to be okay, but I just don't know how you can score. I will say I give them a lot of credit. I looked at they have all these plaques on the wall. Senior club champion, you know, just everything, all the history of the club. And it looks to me like the senior club championship, which when I would play in, the winner shoots between 144 and 148 every year. And all I can tell you is
around par.
Those boys can golf their ball. Because if they're probably playing the tees we played from, and they're shooting, you know, 73, 74, 74, 75, something in that to win. It's just really impressive. It's very, very hard.
Because you told me, I think you basically shot around 80.
I did. Well, one round, I shot around 80 every round except the second round when I don't want to say I wasn't going to break 100, but if I would have had to, I would have played differently, right? Because we just picked it up at some point.
Max double.
Right, but if I was trying to qualify for something and I would have played differently, I probably would have shot 92.
Really?
Yeah, at least. It gets going weird and you can't get it back. And then you finally hit a good shot and you put it off the green, you know.
And it sounds like that's more exaggerated there than most other courses you've played. Like when it gets off the rails. I mean, I know actually, ironically, this isn't about honors course. I know you just played the honors course as well, but
when it gets off the rails, there's a feeling of desperation because you don't know what to do.
Yeah.
Look, I've been playing golf my whole life, and you start wondering, okay, I'm 14 over. What do I have to do to break 90? I mean, when you're doing that sort of math in your head, you're outmatched.
Yeah.
I was overmatched.
Yeah.
But then I played the third day, and you know, it's fine.
Yeah.
Made some birdies.
Well, what was the best shot you hit, or the shot that you're going to remember most from your trip?
That's a good question. I didn't hit a lot of really good shots. That's a good question.
We can come back to that one. But I'm curious as far as the golf, like any other like things you want to mention, like notable things, like because obviously we don't have to go like hole by hole, but any holes you think are worth noting, any kind of like macro trends. Because again, at least for me, it's like when you were going, it's like it's
just that number 1 tee, number 4 green, number 5 tee, number 18 green are all within. You could hit a chip shot from the epicenter of those places onto all of those places, to include where we stayed. So,
wow.
The pro shop, my bedroom, 5 tee, 4 green, 18 tee, and 1 tee are all within 50 yards in every direction.
That's cool.
So when I would wake up in the morning, I'm looking down at 5 tee, which is the par 3 that's 230 yards straight up the hill, and you're thinking, well, I'm going to deal with that in about 45 minutes.
Yeah.
You walk past past that on your right, and the guys on 4 green are playing, and you're 20 steps from breakfast. It's all right there. We drove in, we got there, and we're in the van, and the road to get into Pine Valley goes across 18. We have to wait for guys to play their second shot into 18 green. And so I guess my point of that is, with all these golf courses, with just these routing problems and this convoluted mess, it all just seems like it fits so perfectly. It's like when you have a house that sits nicely on a lot.
Yeah.
This golf course fits perfectly on the property. Now, the par 3 course is half a mile away, as is the driving range. They're just not part of the main golf course. And you would have no idea there's a driving range.
And also I have to think we're constructed differently, right? Like
Totally.
at a different time.
Later, I'm sure.
It makes you appreciate like when that place was built.
Yeah.
It was a tight, not the property was tight, but like it was all this teeny tiny footprint, which is even cooler. I mean, it's cool it's expanded, but it's the fact that it's all right there is pretty amazing.
It's the proximity of tee to green, but also you just come off of 18T and you have a beer in your hand before you've signed your scorecard. And,
yeah. Those places are awesome. It's like when you came out to visit me last year, we played Green Hills. every time I play Green Hills, I'm like, how can they fit 18 holes on this size of property, right? It's like, and to your point, it's a lot of greens right by tee boxes. And
the Green Hills is different because there's shots that overlook the city and you can see all the bay. That is not what this is. This is a huge golf course on a small piece of property, and you never feel like there's any spacing issue. It just fits so perfectly into the land. It's amazing.
Yeah. Anything else to share?
Their golf shop is tiny's not the right word, but there's just not that much stuff in there. I was at the honors course last week.
Dad's on a bit of a heater right now.
I'm a bit of a heater. That is not a name dropper. That's not what I do. I'm just saying, if you want swag, go to the honors. They've got everything you've ever seen. They run a great.
And real quick for people, the honors course is a Pete Dye course in Ottawa, Tennessee that was touched up by Gil Hanse. Correct.
It's in the top 100. It's the number one golf course in Tennessee, and you stay there and you play there. They've got 18 holes, but it's amazing.
And to make this relevant to Municipals, it's about like 45 minutes, 30 minutes from Sweetens Cove, I think. Like, so if you want to have the mega trip, I guess you could find if you know somebody.
That's right. You need some luck to do those at the same time, but those are very doable. I think probably a lot of people do that.
Yeah.
But anyway, the golf shop they are not trying to
peddle merch on you.
No, there's no price tags. You put your stuff on the counter and hope for the best. I will say that this is a something you would never know about Pine Valley. The soap in the bathrooms is this green soap, and it's got a stamp on it with their Pine Valley logo, which is a tree. And it's got this super slippery feel to it, and it smells amazing. And we were at breakfast the last day, and the guy that flew us up there, you know, he has a plane. And I said, guys, did you guys like the soap? And he says, well, there was a bar, for your hands, and there was a bar in the shower. He said, I liked it so much that I dried it off and put both bars in my bag, and I took them home. Then I hadn't thought about it. I'm in the golf shop, and there's a dude buying 100 bars of soap.
Really?
To ship home. So the Pine Valley soap is something you would never know unless you've been there.
Wow.
It has a unique smell. It has a unique texture. And the showers, by the way, are those above showers that drops like a zillion gallons of water on your head in 6 seconds.
Very, very ecological. Yeah.
It's grown man showers. So
yeah. Showers
are great. The place is great. Soap is great. Bar's great.
Memorable shot. You got to give me one. One.
One of my few birdies was on 17 the last day. That hole.
What is 17?
It's well, it has to be a hole that I made a birdie on, and there were.
Do you know how many birdies you made on the trip?
I think I made 3, and I didn't really have many chances at all. But we were finishing. I had 2 holes to play. Number 17, it goes out and up the hill, and there was nothing unique about it except that I got it, on the green, up the hill, and my caddy points to a spot with the flagstick that's, from 25 feet, it's at least 4 feet out to the left, and I just sort of whacked it out there, and perfect speed, perfect line. It was so far that they had to, do you want to leave the flag in or not? I'm like, yeah, I'll just leave it in. Nothing but net. It was, and then we get on AT&T and we start taking pictures because I haven't taken enough pictures with my buddies, and so it was a great moment because the trip was coming to an end and made a birdie. Then I hit the tree on number 18 and made a bogey, so that hurt my feelings, but yeah, it was a good. It was. I'll remember that birdie for a while.
Yeah. And I guess I asked this earlier, but I mean, if 8's got one of your favorite holes, was that your favorite hole then? Again, that's very meta where 8 could be one of your favorite holes, and not your favorite hole, of course. But
I think 13 might be my favorite hole. You got to drive it. It looks like you can drive it to the left, but if you drive it anywhere near the left, it drops off into a ravine. You have to hit it way farther right than you think you do.
That sounds like what you described on 8, too.
Except this hole goes to the left, and it's 450 yards long. You got to hit it way over to the right, and then you look down at this green that is, 4,000 square feet, and you can, you're going in there with a 5-iron, and you're just trying to play to some part of the green where you can maybe 2-putt. And just nothing about the hole is what it appears to be off the tee. And then once you get up for your second shot, everything is very clear about what you have to do, and you just probably don't have the skill to do it. So you're not going to make a 9, but you're just not going to be able to make a par either. So we wish you the best. Hit a good 5-iron and hope for the best. It's great. It was great.
Cool. Well, it's so cool you got to go, and it's funny, as I've mentioned here a lot, Liz is super supportive of my golf habit, and really has learned a lot just through osmosis and listening to me. But it's kind of funny when I got that text message, and I was like, oh my God. She's like, what? I'm like, Dad's going to Pine Valley. I was trying to communicate what that invitation means, and it was sweet because she goes, well, how much? She's trying to be crass.
How much does it cost?
And I was like, it's not even about there's not a way to even.
That's right.
Potentially, it's bigger than that. It's you can't even. I'm sure you can calculate it, but it's bigger than that, right?
Well, it's interesting. I live in Georgia, and I've never come close to playing at Augusta National.
Yeah.
And I think this invitation is more difficult than that one is.
Yeah.
And it just came to me.
Yeah.
Got a shout out to Brad Rush. He's the guy who couldn't go. And Big Pony, I love you to death. You're the absolute best. So thank you for that, Brad Rush.
Yeah. And any other kind of final takeaways?
Well, I have been on a heater with some really good guys recently, and for anybody who likes golf trips, the guys you go with is what makes the golf trip go. Pine Valley is the best. Flying private's the best. But at the end of the day, if you're not with guys you like, golf trips are only so successful. In my opinion, if you've got good guys and fast greens, that's probably all it takes. We can always find breakfast, and we can hit a cut shot off of dirt. But if you got good guys and you got good greens,
greens, not fast greens.
Better said.
Yeah.
Good guys, good greens is the prescription for a good golf trip. So I had great guys, great greens, and so this golf trip was truly once in a lifetime.
And some slippery soap.
Slippery soap. And seriously, the guys, Brian was our host, and he's amazing. He's one of the most generous guys. And to anybody who needs any help with suicide awareness, go to the Sam Masbury Foundation. He was a personal friend of mine, and he died at a very young age, and it's a tragic story. But we're doing this for Sam, and to David, and to Brian, who's all been very generous, and to Brad. It's a very important cause, and if you're having trouble, if you think you're having trouble, just reach out, because there's a lot of people and a lot of resources to help you.
Yeah. I remember some of my formative golf memories were playing golf with Sam.
Yep.
I remember you used to call him Bloody Boy because he'd fell off the cart.
That one time we were going to 10T.
I don't remember the context. Remember he fell off and kind of cut himself up off the golf cart.
No, he fell off the golf cart. He was sitting on the front right of it, and as we're jogging left, he falls off and skids his entire face and arm off.
Yeah.
And then we were going to play, and he would not play. He had gnats in his bloody spot while he was hitting bunker shots on number 10. So anyway, Sam, we loved you, and suicide awareness is a big, big cause, and it affects a lot of people, especially younger generation. So check out the Sam Asbury Foundation if you need to, because all this really that I've talked about is because of the work that David Asbury and Brian Ferris have done, and they're great guys, and I'm just happy to be part of it.
Yeah. Well, thanks, Dad. It's been fun to hear you talk about it, and I fully expect to never play it, so it's great to kind of hear about your experience.
You never know. You may get the call where somebody asks you ask you to do them a favor too.
Would love to help. Cheers.
All right, bye.